Hello. How are you, my YouTube subscribers? How are you? Today we're going to talk about something because you're saying, why is she showing her hands? Today we're going to talk about two things today. And I hope you get the joy. It's called Unclean Hands Doctrine and the Sham Doctrine. You said, Samantha, what does that got to do with a case? I am so glad you asked. Well, since I don't have any sponsors or anything, I can get right into it. First of all, I want to thank you guys who support my channel, who are into me, who donated, getting ready to donate. I want to go ahead and thank you guys. Like I said, you know, it's your donations that help so much. And even though you don't know it, it helps a lot. A little goes a long way with me. But I'm going to get into that. I'm going to give you a situation. Then I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, let's say you bought something from somebody. You bought a mattress from one of these high people, corporate people. I call them mattress ABC. And you say, you know what? I bought this mattress and I you know, and all of a sudden, you know, I get it home and it's not even new. It's bed bugs and oh my goodness, I tried to take it back and they wouldn't even accept it. And then they turned around and they charged me $50 to pick it up and $25 to give me a new one, and they validated their only policy. The policy said it'll be for 30 days, and it just went on and on and on, and they validated the company policy, or they you know, even in my case, you know, I bought a car from a seller through the escrow company. Escrow company says, hey, I protect you from fraud and risk. I find out that he's a scammer. It's a fraud. And I want my money back. And now all of a sudden they say, well, we don't know what you're talking about. You got to do all of this. You got to do all of that. So you get in a court, and you see, this is where it's going to get funny. Get in a court, and then all of a sudden, they looking for their rights. They want the judge to treat them like decent, law-abiding citizens. Oh my goodness. What do I do? There's a doctrine, and that's one thing that's in the court. The court go by not just rules and cases and acts. They go by doctrines. And one of the doctrines is called the unclean hands or dirty hands doctrine. Now, before I get into this, I got to tell you, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not giving out any legal advice. So don't even go there, okay? Don't go there. But anyway, the unclean doctrine or the dirty hands doctrine talks about when somebody is coming to court and asking for the court to treat them fair, and they already have dirt on their hands. Now, when you're dealing with the unclean doctrine, there's two. One of them is state, one of them is federal. And because I can't go into, you know, what your state doctrine says, this is where you have to do your research. So you know what Samantha getting ready to say when she started telling you this. This is where, when you're doing your research and you're trying to make sure you got a case, I always say, get your notebook. I don't mean no harm. I love computers. I type on them all day. I type them all night, especially in my case, or I'm helping somebody else with theirs. And one thing I learned that these right here, the only way these will go is if you burn them or you don't use good ink. But computers, I had jump drives that go bad on me. I've had computers die on me. And I do not, there's something about that paperwork, I can find them. I can find it. If I look hard enough, I will be able to find it. So my thing is that, you know, when you're doing stuff like this, when you're trying to do stuff in a way that you have to be, you know, it's a little bit more, how should I say this? You have to know what a doctrine. You have to do your legal research. Now, the unclean documents says that it allows it where somebody who already did wrong before they go to court. They can't come in there and start asking for everything because their hands are already dirty coming to court. Most people use this unclean hands is when they dealing with like a creditor, breach of contract, a breach of fiduciary, when they did something wrong, and because of that, it brought them into the court. So if you're dealing with somebody that you know has already did you wrong, in good case, credit acceptance. Credit acceptance is you can use that on credit acceptance. And a lot of times, like I said, you have to, and I keep saying this to everybody, and I'm gonna say it again. I keep saying it in videos, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but if you're doing pro se, you're gonna have to pay somebody, especially if you just trying to, if this your first case and you trying to fight it, you don't have a lawyer, you really trying to gun ho. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay somebody to either draft it up right, look at it, or give you breadcrumbs. My channel is to help you get breadcrumbs. It's not to give you legal advice, but it kind of give you some help that an attorney wouldn't give you or the court won't give you. And I try to keep it at that line, so it's not like I'm giving you legal advice, but I'm telling you about topics and stuff that you can use to help you, with your case. So back to this. Now, when you produce that unclean hands, you just can't say, well, they got unclean hands and all of this. You got to go into detail of why their hands are unclean, because they violated their own policy. They violated this act. They violated this statute. Most people tie it to a Consumer Protection Act that's in their state. So that's where you come in, because, like in my case, this company was not registered to do business in the state of Tennessee. And the state of Tennessee says under the Consumer Protection Act that they have to be a legitimate business. Well, they are a legitimate business. They just not legitimate here. So that's the kind of things that you could use for the unclean hands or the dirty hands. See? But see, mine's are clean. See? Okay. Now, I'm not going to keep this video long because I'm sure you guys got a lot of typing to do. And if you like me, I can drink me some good chai tea and with some milk in it, and I can stay up half of the night. And then when I get in my typing mood, I can do wonders. But I make sure I get some sleep. Okay, now the next doctrine that you may want to check, and it's a lot of doctrines. It's a lot of doctrine. It's the what they call it's so many doctrines, but I'm just gonna name two. Well, the next one is the Sham Doctrine. The Sham Doctrine talks about, and it's common. And I think that the attorneys that really don't have a case and you doing real good, they use it. They do this, but you can file the Sham Doctrine, and it kind of, you can let the court know, okay, I know this is a sham. They can't do it. And then you look up federal and your state case to support what it is. Now, the Sham Doctrine is they come in and they say, you know what, Your Honor, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't tell this person that. I don't know what they talking about and everything. And then they come in and then they say, you provide your proof. You put emails or whatever, receipts and stuff. Then all of a sudden, they get an affidavit and says, well, we didn't say that. That's where the Sham Doctrine come in. When the Sham Doctrine come in, it makes question of, you're not challenging the affidavit. You telling them that, it keeps them from going from one position to another or one lie to another to try to litigate. And you have to catch that, because a lot of times, like in my case, the Sham Doctrine would apply. They said this. Now that this ain't working for them, they want to go up and produce an affidavit and go the another way now. So they trying to keep what they call a genuine issue going, so that the court wouldn't rule in your favor. So again, when you are doing this type of stuff, you have to be careful, because I'm gonna tell you something that they will throw in, attorneys will throw in, that it will catch a pro se litigant or somebody who don't have no degree in law, throw them off, and they'll file an appeal on it. When in reality, all you gotta do is go ask for the court to reconsider and then put in the right stuff, and that is jurisdiction. They can't challenge you on certain jurisdiction. And I'm going to give you a quick insight. Personal jurisdiction is when you're suing in a court, and you asking the court to allow this law to take place. So you have jurisdiction. That's jurisdiction. When a person, diverse means that when you in a court, like for instance, people be saying, how can a bill collector sue me and they in Florida and I'm in Mississippi? That's called diverse jurisdiction. They in Florida, you in Mississippi, and they asking the court to allow that to happen. That's how they do it. So when you want to know what jurisdiction is, that is. Or if somebody's suing you, they in one state and you in another, and they suing on subject matter, that's where they come in. I mean, that's diversity. I'm sorry. That's where they come in. Subject matter means is they're asking a federal question, or there's an amount of controversy. The federal court says over $75,000, but in reality, if there's amount of controversy, it could be $1, as long as it's amount of controversy. So, but how do lawyers throw you off so that you won't get it? They use subject matter jurisdiction. Those cases against pro se will easily be dismissed because of the simple reason a lot of people don't know about subject matter jurisdiction. That's when you have to use a federal law, a federal question, or amount of controversy. So I had that. And I promise you, I found that federal court. I found that federal standing. I found it. But you know what? You gotta do research, and you can't just, people say, well, you know what? I print cases, I look at cases, I do all of that, but I have to keep my notebook, because I'm gonna tell you something. I get cramps in my hand. I think I got about a good 5-6 years. See, my books fell on the floor. I got about a good 5-6 years before, you know what? I can't use my hands anymore, because I type all the time, I write all the time. I can read, I do my research. Yeah, especially, it's because I'm gonna tell you something. If you don't know your rights, I guarantee you, if they know you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know your rights, I guarantee you they can put anything on a piece of paper and you'll believe it. Happened to me. Been there, done that. So when you're doing when you're doing your legal research, I always tell you, get your paid. In fact, there are so many doctrines that the Supreme Court and appellate court and state court, Supreme Court, and everything they did. But if you don't do your research, if you don't do your homework, if you don't do it, you're not gonna know. And I promise you, and one thing about it is that, especially pro se, especially if you're getting in there. You said, well, you know what? I hear it all the time. Well, you know what? Well, I went on Google and I found this. If you don't know what you're looking for, you ain't gonna find it. And if you don't go to the law library, most colleges now, and most in states and stuff, they're opening up the law library to those who are pro se. So it's not like you can't learn, but you got to be willing to put in the work. If you want your case right, you got to be willing to put up the work. I put in the work. I put in the work. I guarantee you. If you ask me about anything, I put in the work. Because why? Because I want to see some good results. I do. But you have to know. But these are the two doctrines that I told you about. Those are the ones that attorneys use when they're trying to get the case dismissed, but they don't think that you are paying attention to your case. So what they do is that, like I said, the first one is the unclean hands. They come in there, they know their hands have been dirty. They know they did everything that they could do, corrupt and otherwise. Violate policies, state law, federal law, it's all there. But they come into court as if they hadn't did nothing wrong. That your defense, if when you do the doctrine of unclean hands, you have what the state court says, what the Sixth Circuit or the Supreme Court says, and then you have to go into detail about why is it unclean hands. They violated a policy. They violated an act. They violated this. They violated that. They come into court, and what they did and what they're doing now is a miscarriage of justice or a manifest of justice. You make sure you put that in there. It violates, and when you said all of that, you tell the judge that, it probably would cause abuse of authority or abuse of discretion. I like to use abuse of discretion because it's saying that because they're telling him some lies, he's going to rule on their lies, and it's going to cause more harm to you than good. So you may want to use that. Sham, same way. You tell them that, you know what, they had this position at first. Now they coming around telling you something else. They trying to make up every kind of allegation that is not true, just so you can continue to rule and possibly rule in their favor. But you have to be creative when you write that. I hope I have given you some valuable information. And if you do like this video, like it. I mean, YouTube giving me commercials now, but I don't have any sponsors. And I ain't gonna lie, I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. If you send me $1, thank you so much. Because you know what? I may not be able to help somebody when because of that. But when you give to me, I'm able to help somebody that may not have no money and may be in a bad situation. So a little goes a long way. Like I said, you may say, well, how? Because paper, a lot of times people don't have emails, or they don't know how to pull it off an email. Yeah, I got them too. And they'll tell me to mail it in. And you know what? So that 10 or $5 or $2 could go to stamps. Yeah, I'm an old school. I still buy stamps. I still buy them because a lot of people don't. It's so many people. I've had to send stamps. I had to mail stuff. They needed it for the next day or 2 days later, and I had to overnight it. So please don't think that that whatever you donate or whatever it is, that it just goes in. No, it doesn't. It goes for my purpose of seeing that everybody is treated right. They got a right to a fair thing. It goes to me. Yeah, because if I don't have passion for it, who does? I have to have passion for this in order to be able to do it. It's not just, creating a YouTube channel or doing all of that. It's my passion. So I say, this is my baby. I try to rock it. But I want you guys, I thank you guys. I thank you for the donations. I thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you got any questions or comments, hey, let me know, okay? Now, and I hope you look at all my videos and stuff, because I have topics on everything, including, creditors and all of that. And I really want to know what you guys thinking. And thank you, and have a great weekend.